Alright guys, welcome back to another episode of Cooking with Dan! Alright, for today's episode we're going to be doing hot pockets with lamb and pumpkin with a special Daniel twist in there, along with the potato salad but done in a curry style, another Dan twist. So without further ado, let's get straight down into the ingredients. Okay guys, so the ingredients for this dish are reversed to the last recipe that I did. There are a lot of ingredients for this one, but the dish is much easier to create. So we'll just go through the ingredients that we are going to be using today. Keen's curry powder, so this is just a mild version of the curry powder. We've got baking powder, this will be for our bread that's going to be going around the hot pocket. A salt, vinegar cider, this is your mother of vinegar cider. This is the full grain stuff, it's got all the goodness in it. It hasn't been strained, so I prefer to use this. Whole mayonnaise, egg mayonnaise is probably better. Self-raising flour. Corn chips, originally salted. Now they don't have to be Doritos, you can just use the Coles or Woolworths brand or whatever the wholesale brand is for wherever you are in the world from your shopping centre. We need pumpkin, butternut pumpkin is fine, 2 eggs, 2 potatoes, an onion, apple, this is a Granny Smith, bunch of celery. Now we're not going to use all of this, this is just how it came, so I've got the whole thing on display. Now I'm lucky enough that I've got fresh mint growing in my garden. If you don't, you can get it from your local supermarket, but this is readily available to me, so I picked a big sprig. Natural yogurt, make sure you get the natural traditional yogurt. You don't want any that have got any extra added sugars. This is just the plain Ridgy-Dig stuff. We want lamb. Now I've just gone for the cheapest cut that I could get. This was reduced from the shopping centre, so we're just going to be chopping that up. Clove of garlic. Alright, so let's get straight into the process. The very first thing we want to do is we want to take our 2 eggs and we're going to hard boil these. Place this straight into a pot of water and we're going to bring these up to the boil and we're going to boil them for a good 5 minutes until they are hard boiled. Okay, so the next step we want to do is we're going to grab our measuring scales and a bowl and we're going to make the bread from scratch. This is going to be a yogurt style bread. You've seen in one of my previous videos where I did stuffed pita breads with Philly cheese. You can find that in the links below, where I made a from scratch pita bread. We're going to use the exact same recipe here. So we need 350 grams worth of flour. We just want to add our yogurt straight into that. And we're just going to fold this into the flour. By folding into the flour, we should get a nice crumbly style mixture. Okay, so what we're going for here is, now if you look in this bowl, there is no residual flour. What we've got here is just a whole bunch of crumbs that have soaked up that yogurt. We're just going to knead this into a dough. So this is where we get nitty and gritty with our hands. Remembering that I've already pre-washed my hands here. I'm just going to push it all together until it combines into our dough. Then we're just going to take a little bit of flour, sprinkle it out on the bench. This avoids the dough from sticking, and we're just going to knead this. Now this doesn't need to be kneaded nearly as much as what traditional bread does, and we're not going to really be leaving this for raising either. All we're just going to do is we want an even mixture and consistency. Now if it starts sticking to your hands, it means you need a little bit more flour. The last thing we do is we're just going to take our baking soda, we're just going to sprinkle a little bit over the top, and then we're going to knead this back in again. And then we have our ready to go dough. So we're just going to place that back in the bowl. You can take a tea towel and cover this over and put that aside for now. We're going to clean this up and move on to the next step. Okay, so now we're all cleaned up. The next step of what we're going to be doing is getting all the ingredients for the inside of these hot pockets ready. So first thing we want to do is grab our vegetables. I'm going to use about half of this pumpkin, so I'm just going to go straight down the center. And then take out my seeds and pips. And then to peel this, you can either use a peeler or you can use a knife. So I'm just going to use the knife and I'm just going to run this and take the skins off the outside. And then we want this diced up fairly fine. So we're just going to do in long ways first. And go the other direction. And then the next ingredient that we're going to use is onion. So I only need half of this onion. Next we want that clove of garlic. So we're going to use that clove of garlic and cut it up. Alright, and the last thing we want is our lamb. So we're going to take this out and we're going to finely dice this up as well. We take a few sprigs of the mint. And there we have our 5 ingredients that will be going into the Hot Pocket. Now, to give the Hot Pocket a bit more consistency, this is where we use the Dorito chips. So for the Dorito chips, I'm just going to move this board aside. And all we're going to do is we're going to open this back up. And then hold the end that we've opened it. And we're going to crush these. And we are left with nice crumbed up, ready to go mixture. Okay, so we're just going to put all our ingredients on the board and we're going to move this entire board out of the way and we're just going to get our bread pockets ready. Okay, so we're going to take our pre-made dough ready to go, take that back out. The ball will have risen and gotten just a little bit bigger in the time that we've had it sitting. So we're going to take that and take a little bit of our self-raising flour, spread it back out on the bench. Take this and stick it straight down and flatten it out using our hands to begin with. Then we're going to take a rolling pin and gently roll this out. Remembering to continue to flip it so we can keep it relatively round. Right, so I've rolled that out really thin. We've gotten that down to about maybe 5 mil in between the thickness. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bowl and I'm just going to place that bowl over and push quite firmly into the dough as close to the edge as we can get so we don't have any wastage. And use it like a cutter. Just working it back and forth. And complete this as many times as you can out of your dough. Peel away your excess. Just add a little bit of flour to these so they don't stick together while we get our mixture ready. And we can ball this back up again. We'll probably get one more out of this. Alright, now we have our 6 ready to go. Circles cut out, ready to go for our pockets. So we're just going to clean this up again. We're going to take the bowl that we had our dough mixture into, and we're now going to grab the chopping board back and add all the ingredients that we have pre-prepared. And we're just going to mix these ingredients all in together. Now don't be afraid to really get your hands in there and get them squished into the ingredients. There we have our mixture ready to go. So I'm just going to wash my hands, give this a quick clean, and we'll go to the stuffing process. Okay, so we're going to take a pre-oiled pan, baking tray, and place that ready to go on the side. Flour down our bench, and taking our pre-cut bread pockets, we're just going to take the rolling pin to them again. Let's give them one last little roll out. Then we just take our mixture and we are going to stuff these. I'm just going to take a little bit of water, bring this over, and then with a fork we're just going to go along and we're going to squish the edges together. Couple of pricks on top and place that into the tray. And then we're going to do it 6 more times. And we're just going to grab a bit of oil and we're just going to tip a bit of oil into the bottom of the pan here. And we're just going to use that to baste over the top of these pockets. Okay, so we're going to place these into the oven at about 250 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 minutes, and they should be ready to go. Okay, so while we've been getting everything else ready, our eggs have now hard-boiled. What we're going to do is we're going to completely rinse these with cold water. That's been done with cold water. Now we're just going to go around and we're going to break these eggs completely, making sure the shell's nice and broken up. And then put it back into that cold water and just rinse it again. What this is going to do is the egg, because it's now been cracked, is going to suck the cold water in because the egg's hot, and it's going to allow the shell to come off nice and easily. And just like that, our shells just peel off. No effort whatsoever. Alright, we're just going to give them a quick rinse. Okay, so now that our Hot Pockets are cooking in the oven, we're going to get our potato salad ready. So the first thing we need to do is get our potatoes on the boil. Now, if you've watched my previous videos, you'll know that I'm a strong believer of keeping the skins on. All the nutrients of the potato is in the skin. Don't cut it out if you don't have to. So we're just going to dice this up nice and small. Okay, and we're just going to place them straight into a pot of water, about halfway up the pot, with about a teaspoon, or using your hand measurements, just under your palmful of salt, straight into the water as well, and put that straight on for boil. Now, because those potatoes were diced up quite small, it's not going to take long for them to cook, so we're going to get our dressing and the rest of our ingredients ready to go. So dressing is going to be first. We need a large mixing bowl, and we want to grab our light sour cream, tablespoons worth of the light sour cream. We want 1 tablespoon worth of mayonnaise. We want light splash of that apple cider vinegar, and curry powder we want to place in about a 1/4 teaspoon of curry powder in there as well. Then we're going to move this aside, take our celery, and we're just going to take the leaves off just one of the celery sprigs, and we're just going to finely dice this up. We take that and put it into the bowl. We'll just add a shake of salt over the top. We're now going to whisk this all together. And that is our dressing for our potato salad. Now we just want to prepare the rest of the ingredients. So we're going to take our apple, and we only want half this apple. And then we want to dice this up. Now, we want to take a couple of pieces of this apple slices and leave this aside. The rest we're going to dice. We're going to take our 2 eggs that we've pre-boiled, and we're going to cut down the center of one, nice and gently. We're just going to take a couple of slithers off that as well. And we're just going to take that one aside, and we're going to leave that aside with that apple. The rest of this egg we're going to dice up. We're going to take celery, and we're just going to head it and tail it. Get rid of those parts. And we're going to run down this 3 or 4 times lengthways. And then very finely slice this. More glitch in production here, guys. I actually did an onion as well, but some reason the video didn't record, so you want to dice a half onion up as well. Okay, so the easiest way to check whether your potatoes are cooked all the way through is just to take a knife and just to push into one of the potato slices. You should feel no resistance when you do this, and they should be able to just go straight through without any resistance. We're now just going to drain this water off and then rinse these potatoes until they're completely cool. Alright, so our potatoes are now really cool, ready to go. So we're just going to take our bowl of our dressing, and we're now going to add the ingredients one at a time into the bowl. And move the chopping board aside. And we're just going to use the whisk, and we're just going to whisk these together. And then we have our curried egg potato salad. We're going to put this in the fridge until the bread pockets are ready. And here we have our hot pockets, all deliciously goldened up and ready to eat. So we're going to plate this up. I'm going to show you what it looks like. And here we have it, guys. The bread pockets done with lamb, mint, and pumpkin. Served with our curry potato salad. The slices of apple and egg that I took off earlier we've used as garnish. So remember to like and follow the page for more exciting videos of Cooking with Dan. Cheers.